Hi, my name is Luke Patrick, and I'm going to be making a brief After Effects tutorial for the Media Communications Department at the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. So getting started, you have, as soon as you open the application, this will pop up, this little window right here. You can choose from recent projects you've worked on, open a new project, open a project you've worked on, as well as some other things, but we're going to go ahead and open a new project. Now whenever you do that, that's just going to go away, and you might be asking yourself what you're going to do now. You'll come up here to the composition, new composition, and this will pop up. For the sake of this, I'm going to title it Test 1. Now right here, you can change the preset as to whatever video you will be working with, as well as your frame rate. Now if you're working on the school computers, I'd recommend taking this bar and dropping it to either a half or a third. The computers at the school aren't really up to the task. I have a custom built PC, so I can run it at full. If you are working at somewhere else other than the school, and you know the computer you're working on, you're going to want something maybe like a high-end i5 processor, Intel i5 processor, to run it at full, and even then you might get a little bit of lag. So once you have everything set here you like, go ahead and click OK. Once you get to this point, you're going to come over here to your project folder and right click, import, file, select the file you'd like to work with, and import it. Now you see over here you have your composition layer, and right above it you have your video. Now there's two ways to get your video to here, which is where we want it. You can either drag and drop it right there, or you can drag it down to the timeline down here, which is where we'll be working off of. So from here you can go and scrub through your video by clicking right above it. Now you might notice as I'm doing this, all these little green dots are popping up, and if I play it, it renders out farther. What these are little render markers. The video needs to render as you play it and as you move through it, so the program knows what it's looking at, basically. Now if you scrub through this, and I'll try and see if I can get it to do it here, I'm at full resolution right here. If you scrub through it really quick, or where it hasn't rendered yet, it's going to get really pixelated. And that's just so it doesn't lag your computer out, because when you start working upon layer upon layer upon layer of video or effects, your computer will really start to suffer. And the last thing you need is this thing to crash 3 hours into an editing session. So this is your composition window. This is where you're going to be working from. There's a lot to go into this program. If you have anything particular you'd like to learn about it, I'd highly recommend searching it on YouTube, because there is a YouTube tutorial for it. So if you move down here, you can see the time code for 1, also a little search bar, and right here is our video. Now this little guy right here, this is the 3D layer checkbox. If you wanted to make this into a three-dimensional layer, check this right here, and that'll bring up these little green, red, and blue arrows. Now if I take this little rotation key right here, the rotation tool, and I click this, I'll be able to spin the video, flip it. If I hold on to the green marker, if I hold on to the red one, that does the x-axis. If I hold on to the blue one, that's the z-axis, it's going to spin it. Now this gets really handy whenever you're working with multiple layers or light sources or anything along those lines. So when you're working in After Effects, think of this like a sandwich. You're going to have a layer right here. I'm going to go ahead and import another. Actually, I'll do this. So to show you what I mean about a sandwich, I'm going to go down here, I'm going to click and make sure this window is highlighted, come up here to Layer, New, and from here it's going to give me a text, options for a text, a solid, a light, a camera, a null object, shaped layer, adjustment layer, and Adobe Photoshop file, and a Max and Cinema 4D file. I'm going to go ahead and just make another solid. And this is just going to be a white solid right here. So I'm going to hit OK. Now you can see that's stacked on top of our video. Now if I go up here and adjust it, you can see our video is still back there. It's just on top of it. So whatever is on top here is going to be what's in front, basically. So say if I added another layer, so we got another solid, we'll make this one that color. Okay, let's do it. There we go. So now it's over there. Now if we don't want it to be on top, like say we want this red layer on below this layer, we can just go over here, drag it down, and vice versa. So that's what I'm saying when this is a sandwich. You have layers upon layers upon layers, and what's hard for a computer is when you start working with tons of layers like this, with a whole bunch of render points, a whole bunch of different files, a whole bunch of different video codecs, the computer is really going to start to suffer. Now, I'm going to go through here real quick and show you these tools up here. So this right here is a selection tool. This is something you can use to just, basically just a cursor. The hand tool just lets you move things around in the preview window like this to where you'd like it. Obviously the zoom tool is going to zoom. If you hold Alt, Alt and click will zoom out, and just clicking will zoom in. This is the rotation tool. This will let you spin around your video and etc. The unified camera tool. This is something I'll have to go into in another video because it's kind of complex since we don't have multiple cameras set up at the moment. As well as the pan behind the anchor point. There's no anchor point at the moment to look at. The rectangle tool, it's kind of neat, a helpful thing if you're going to draw masks or do a mask layer or something along those lines. A pen tool, you're going to use this more down here with the editing, but you can set up paths and curves, and this is just a horizontal type tool. You can click here, drag, make a text box. You have the brush tool. Now the brush, I mean obviously you have to select a specific layer to do this on, but a brush is a brush. There's different plugins and everything you can use for this. Going on down the line here is a clone stamp. A little farther down is the eraser tool. And these last two I'm going to keep for a different video. Now that we've talked about layers and how this is basically a sandwich, we're going to go back over here. This little checkbox right here is your adjustment layer. So we're back on our video here, our poorly mutilated video. So if we go ahead and throw in a motion blur onto our video, it's going to do exactly what it sounds like it's going to do. It's going to do exactly what it sounds like it's going to do and add a motion blur to the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that. This is a frame blending. If you have multiple shots going through here, it'll just kind of help smooth things out of it. I believe there's also different settings for this. I'm going to leave the rest of these alone at the moment. So if you move down over here, this is this little snail looking guy over here. This represents the parent layer. So if we wanted to select, or say we wanted to attach this medium solid to our clip, we can go down here and select our clip, and now whatever changes we make to our parent layer, which is this, it's going to apply to the daughter layer, which is this. And that's handy if you are stacking multiple layers and want to make the same changes on multiple things. That's the exact same without having to go through and redo all of them again. Moving on over here, we have the same little eye tools that's in Premiere Pro that lets you see and not see what's on the timeline, as well as hear and not hear what is on the timeline. Okay, so going back to just our video here, I deleted everything else. I'm going to show you how to do a very simple color correction with After Effects. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to this little line of things over here. We're going to go to Effects and Presets. While that loads up, go ahead and come down here to Color Correction. And you're going to want to choose Curves right here. Just go ahead and drag this onto the video over here. Now, When you do that, this little effects control bar is going to pop up. If you want to go back to your project folder, you can click this little arrow right here and hit project, and vice versa for the effects control board. You can also adjust how big of a graph you'd like over here. So say if you widen this out a bit, you can make a bigger graph, give you a little bit more delicate control. So we're going to go to a spot in the video where we can see pretty clearly. So we're going to say right about here. So this right here, this white line, is your main color corrector tool. This is going to adjust every single color of the spectrum. Now this is basically going to be a brightness and contrast. And you don't have to move it just here or up here. If you like, say you want to brighten it up a bit in the highlights right there, come down here and bring this down a bit. Bring the shadows up quite a bit or down a bit, make everything a little bit darker. You can adjust this however you'd like to. And if you ever mess up or you want to change things, you can just go down here and hit reset. Now if I only want to adjust, say, the reds, I can hit that and only adjust the color red. So I can take it away completely, or I can really blow it up. But say for the instance of this video, I'm going to go ahead and color correct how I would normally color correct. Now in this room, this is the race book at Choctaw Casino. It's a little bit of a warm room, so I'm going to want it to be a little bit more red on the highlight side. Probably a little bit red throughout. Not that red, that's a little too much. About right there. You can see this really makes this brown pop a little bit, as well as the chairs. So now we're going to go here and adjust the green. Now I want to kind of stick with that redder theme, so bring green down just a tiny bit. Now these lights over here are going to put out a lot of green light. These little fluorescent light bulbs I have there. We don't want to make things purple, so about right there. Head on over to the blues. Now blue and red is going to contrast each other immensely between giving you a hotter or a cooler look. But I'm actually going to bring the highlights of blue up a bit. Bring the mid tones down as well as the low tones. I'm going to bring them up a bit actually. And that's some just very, very basic color correction. There's a whole bunch of other color correction effects that you can throw onto here. I'd highly recommend you sitting down and messing with them. You know, it's gonna stack on top of each other, all of your effects, just like it does in Premiere Pro. And the best way to learn is just to dig in. Start at the top and work your way down, or find some YouTube videos that explain what all of this does. It'd take me 50 hours to go through and explain what every single one of these effects does in here. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to save your project. So it's pretty simple. You can come down here and save. Right there. Save as and save project. You can also export from here. I always use Adobe Media Encoder. Another really helpful thing that you can do from the export menu is go here and export as an Adobe Premiere Pro project. And what that is going to do is it's going to take everything you've done and just make it Premiere Pro ready. You'll be able to open it directly from Premiere Pro. It'll be quick, it'll be painless, and it'll work a lot better than just importing a video you export. So with that being said, I hope that this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed.